We're having a very special day today. We are here with Marty Kiar, and we're actually visiting the Broward County Property Appraiser's office today. One of the reasons we wanted to come here, that Ion wanted to be here today and sit down with you, is I think a lot of people have a misconception of what the Property Appraiser's office does. So I was hoping that you could kind of educate our viewers a little bit.
One thing that we don't do is set or collect property taxes. That's done by the local governments and the tax collector. Our job is we determine the value of every piece of property in Broward County, whether it's residential, commercial, tangible personal property, or centrally assessed property, which are railroads. And the reason that's important is because when folks pay their property taxes, the amount of taxes they pay is a relation between the value of the property that we set and the tax rate set by lower government. By their local governments. So the higher the value of the property, the more taxes folks pay. The lower the value of the property, the lower amount of taxes they pay. So what we want to do is just make sure we get it right. And you know, Broward County has more people than 13 states, the District of Columbia, and all U.S. territories except Puerto Rico. It's big.
That's incredible.
It is, and there are more parcels that we appraise than many states. And even though the 200 and some odd folks who work in our office do a great job, I always tell folks, if they think we've made a mistake with the value of their property, give us a holler. Come on down to our office or we'll come to you and we'll make sure we get it right. I feel very blessed that the people of Broward County have elected me to this job. And the way I look at it, if you live here in Broward County, if you're one of our 1.9 million residents, then you're my boss. And if somebody wants to meet with me on their property and our staff, all they have to do is to call me up, come on down here, sit down with me, and we'll go through it with them together. They can also meet with our team out there. They can meet with our mobile exemption information team. And our goal at the end of the day is to make sure that people, when they pay their property taxes, just their fair share, nothing more and nothing less. And if we've made a mistake with the value of their property, then we'll definitely work through it with them and make sure that it is appraised in a manner that's fair to them, and so they won't overly pay in their property taxes.
We talked a little bit this morning about your outreach program, and I think one of the things that we see is that people maybe don't know what programs are available to them, especially people, elderly people in our community, may not know what they're entitled to, or people with the homestead exemption. And you actually have a team that goes out and visits our community and educates people on these topics.
We do. You know, what I love most about this job is we get to give tax-saving exemptions to folks that qualify. And there are a lot of exemptions under Florida law that people qualify for, whether they're homestead exemptions, which reduce your property taxes, low-income senior exemptions, exemptions for veterans or folks who are disabled. And it's very important to me that we find every person in Broward County entitled to a tax-saving exemption and to give it to them. You know, we only have one office, and that's in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We don't have any other satellite offices. And I know that that makes it very difficult at times for folks to come to us. So what we like to do is to bring our office to the public. And we have what's called a mobile exemption information team. And they go out into the community every single day. They bring their computers with them, they set up, and people sit down with them, and they help them with their properties, and they sign them up for tax-saving exemptions on the spot. And to give you an idea, this year alone, they've been to about 1,300 events, and they've helped thousands upon thousands of Broward County residents save money.
So with that, and that begs to ask a question too, is there some way that people can log onto your website, or how do they find out where your mobile exemption team is going to be?
Our website is bcpa.net. I found out this year we had about 2 million individual users and about 50 million page views on our website, which I think is great, which means that folks are using it. And if they go on our website and they go on the left-hand side, they can see a link that says Mobile Exemption Information Team. They click on that and they click on the calendar, and they can see exactly where our office is going to be at. And what we also do is we have something that's called Exemption Express. I almost called it Exemption Prime, but I didn't want to be sued by Amazon. So we call it Exemption Express. And if people call here, we can let them know where we're going to be. And if they can't make it, we'll actually go to their homes as well. And they can make an appointment. We'll go to their home and we'll sign them up for any tax-saving exemption they're entitled to.
Your office is really cool. And one of the things that struck me when I walked in here this morning was the first thing that I noticed on coming in is it's a government building. You know, they're not always the prettiest buildings. It's a little stoic walking down the hallway. And I walked into this office and there's really a warmth, and I saw that you have somebody here who has their child at work today and very well behaved, you know, doing their thing with their mom or their dad. And I thought, you know, that's really nice to see in a government office. That's not something that I expected walking in here today.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, the folks that work in our office, there's about 230 people around that. They work very hard every single day on behalf of the people of Broward County. And it's been very important to me to make this the best working environment possible. And so, right now you have kids who are off of school, and the folks here work very, very hard. And so whatever I can do to accommodate them, to make their life a little bit easier, we always do. And I always believe that if you treat people well, they're going to work incredibly hard for you.
There's a lot of things behind the scenes that you're involved in and your office is involved in, and I would love to talk about that.
when you get elected to a job like this, you get to have the opportunity to help a whole lot of folks. And the people in our office, what I've learned about them is not only do they work very hard on behalf of our Broward County taxpayers, but they also like to give a whole lot back. And whenever we do philanthropic things, no taxpayer dollars are ever used.
Right.
It's always people who just want to donate their private time and their private money. And so to give you an example, we just participated in what's called the Angel Tree. We worked with Ely High School, and we had a whole bunch of the folks in our office donate a whole lot of presents to needy kids that are at that high school. We also like to partner with the Dan Marino Foundation, which is something that's near and dear to my heart, to provide internship and employment opportunities for adults with developmental disabilities. And whether it's over the holidays or even throughout the year, we're always trying to give back. And what I'm very proud about is the fact that the people in this office, they don't do it because they feel they have to do it. They feel because they do it because they want to do it.
Being in your office today and meeting some of the people that work here and meeting some of your interns and seeing what you're doing with the Dan Marino Foundation, that's another thing that I think we really should touch on is one of the comments that you made to me earlier, and I've also personally had this experience, that sometimes people with developmental disabilities in the office space can be some of your most dedicated employees.
Oh, absolutely. You know, about a year ago, the Dan Marino Foundation reached out to me, and they said, Marty, we would love to partner with your office and provide an internship to about 11 students that they have that are adult students with developmental disabilities. And I go, absolutely. We brought them in, and at the time, I thought I was doing the Dan Marino Foundation a favor. But what I learned very quickly was that they did me a favor, because those adults were some of the hardest working people I have ever met in my life. They are just a joy to be around, and they actually elevated the work that everybody else does in our office as well. And you know, there's actually a gentleman that I'm very proud of. His name is Garrison. I just introduced you to him. And Garrison is in our customer service department, and he did such an incredible job that we actually hired him and made him a full-time employee. And my goal, one of my goals in this job, is to convince other folks in both the public sector and the private sector that they should give these folks a chance as well. Partner with the Dan Marino Foundation. Give folks an opportunity to have employment that have a developmental disability, because at the end of the day, you're going to realize that you're not doing them a favor, but they're going to be doing you a favor.
And just with the working environment here, you can kind of see not only your dedication to this office, but the fact that your door is open, you're here, you're taking personal appointments with people in the community, you seem to really be listening to your employees. What can you do to inspire other companies out there that might be looking for some direction in that area?
Some folks, they get elected to public office, and they wall themselves up in their office, and they kind of shut themselves off to everything else. What I would love for my elected officials on every level, whether it's on the federal level, the state level, or the local level, get out into the community. Let folks know that this is what you have to offer, and this is how we can help you. And if you do that, if you're constantly out and about, if you're constantly talking to folks, you're constantly promoting what you do at your office, you can help a whole lot more people than you could if you didn't. And people in the private sector, you know, there are unfortunately sometimes, I think, a lot of employers that may not always treat their employees with the respect that they deserve. And if people just show some kindness to folks, if they treat people well, if they talk to them and ask them about their day, ask them about their family, it goes a very long way. And not only is it the right thing to do, but also it'll make that employee a much more productive employee, and they'll be much happier with their job.
An elected official, you do obviously have political views and political leanings. How do you, in your office, bring everybody together as one group? What's the one inspiring factor?
Well, I think our one inspiring factor is the fact that the nature of our job allows us to help taxpayers. And, you know, I know we spoke about this before. You know, I'm an elected official. I'm a Democrat. And I've been a lifelong Democrat. But as property appraiser, I represent everyone. Democrats, Republicans, independents, people who aren't registered to vote. You may not even live here. You may own property here. I represent you. And we treat everybody equally across the board.
You went to law school and then had political aspirations because of your dad.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really cool story, too, that maybe you could share with our viewers about how your father has inspired you.
You know, my dad is my hero in this world. And, you know, I'm not a conceited person at all. But when it comes to my dad, I think he walks on water. And, you know, my dad was elected to the Davie Town Council and was the mayor of Davie in the 1980s. One thing I was very proud about, so my dad lived in the Bronx. And when he was in the Bronx, there was nothing but pavement everywhere. And then he moved to West Davie in the 1970s. And he realized there was open space everywhere. And he wanted to preserve that. And so things he would do, for example, was to make sure you have homes 1 unit per acre. And he made sure there were lots of parks. And he came up with an idea of having all kinds of bike paths throughout the AV. And one day when I had just graduated from law school, I was running on the bike path that my dad came up with.
That's so cool.
And I was looking around and I saw the parks and I saw people playing at the parks and on the bike path. And I thought, you know what? My dad did this and made our community better. I want to follow in his footsteps. And so right about 2006, I decided to take the plunge into to hopefully serve in political office, and fortunately the people of Broward County elected me, and it's been my goal, one, to do a great job, but also it's always been my goal to make my dad proud.
And you were in a House seat before, correct?
I served in the Florida House from 2006 to 2012, and then I served on the County Commission from 2012 to 2016. I served as the mayor of Broward County, and then in 2016 everybody in Broward County was nice enough to elect me to be their new Broward County property appraiser, and I have to tell you, out of all the jobs I've ever had, this one I love the most because you get to interact with everybody in the county, and as we spoke about before, you just get to help a whole lot of folks.
So Marty Kiar, caring for our community. I know that was was that your campaign slogan?
It was Care cares for the people.
Care cares for the people, and you really do, and you care about your employees, and I think that that's something that's really good to see in this office, and something that's very inspiring for all of us. What's on the agenda? I mean, you just ran a marathon. You were in the New York City Marathon.
Loved it. That was the coolest marathon I've ever done. And the reason being is because 1 million people line the streets and you run through all 5 boroughs, and it's almost like you're the New York Yankees, you just won a World Series and it's a ticker day parade. It was so cool. But what I loved about it was I think sometimes people have some misconceptions about New Yorkers.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, what I loved about it was the 1 million people that lined the streets, all residents of New York. They were the most inspiring folks. They were so supportive and so cheerful. And I think if people go to New York, they'll realize that New York is really made up of a whole bunch of good folks who care a whole lot. And it was really a cool thing.
So what does the future hold for you?
I would love to do this job as long as the people of Broward County allow me to do it. And, this is one job that I love a whole lot. And the reason being, like I said before, you get to interact with everybody in the county, you get to help a whole lot of folks, and not only do I get to do a job that I absolutely adore and I love, but I get to be home with my family. And for me, I think the thing I worry most about, or that I would worry most about, is I never want my kids to one day turn 18 and say, oh, you know what, I don't really know my daddy, he was never home. This lets me be here and be with them and constantly be active in their lives, whether it's dance recitals or swimming or soccer or just being there for them, and I love it. So as long as the people of Broward County allow me to do this, I'm going to continue to do it. I'll be back on the ballot on 2020, and I'm very excited about it. I think elections are incredibly important because they really give people the opportunity, they give, first of all, voters and the people of Broward County the opportunity to really get to know candidates who want to serve them, and they get to hold you accountable, which I think is a great thing. And it's my goal to earn the vote of every single person in Broward County, and hopefully be able to serve another term as their Broward County property appraiser.
Well, and we hope so. We'll have to see how your job approval rating is going, but I think it's going pretty well. I think you're doing pretty good here in this office. So we're going to be watching your campaign as things unfold and watching your office. And I hope we've been able to raise some awareness today for everybody out there about what the property appraiser's office actually does and how you're involved in the community and just how special this particular government office is. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I can't tell you how much it means to me that you all took the time to come out today, because what you do is incredibly important. And you're able to kind of communicate with folks on a mass scale. And when a person like yourself takes their time to come down to talk to me, to ask me what can we do to help the community, what do we do, it really helps us get our message out. And I know after this airs that a whole lot of folks are going to call and email us, and we're going to get to help a lot more people that I couldn't reach on my own. So thank you so much for that.